It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.
Hello, good evening. How is everybody tonight? I realised that I did not cover the balance data slate last Friday. I haven't playing tonight. I've really hurt my neck. If I look like I'm moving weird, it's because my neck is really sore. I've also really hurt my shoulder. So, no live game tonight. I'm not even going to try and paint tonight because I don't think being hunched over trying to paint is going to be the right call for me. But good evening. We're going to talk for a few minutes about the balance data slate. It's going to be brief, like I said. I really hurt myself. So, cool. So they actually posted a community article. Was that today? Yeah, I saw it today. I thought it might have come out earlier. But yeah, so this article was the article that was supposed to come out with the data slate. Unfortunately, the data slate released early last week. I actually haven't checked. Has anyone on iOS got the app update yet? Because obviously I've been at work all day and I haven't checked it. But do iOS users, do you have the new update? Do you have the new points? There is an update on the app today. So maybe you can... it's a gym injury. Yes. I maybe tried to lift too much weight. You know, they say no pain, no gain, right? Eternal Crusader. So this is the article that was supposed to come out with the data slate, but unfortunately the data slate came out on Friday. I think the most important change in terms of overall competitive play, thanks Marshmallow. So yeah, you can get the iOS update now. So you should have the new points costs in the app, finally, if you're on iOS. So if you're on iOS, your lists probably went up a few points, assuming that you had Sangre Guard in your list, and probably most people had some Sangre Guard in their list. Okay. yeah, so chapter approved 25, 26. We are no longer playing with challenger cards, right? Like, that's the biggest change. Like, the challenger card system obviously just has not worked at all. I went to a tournament a few weeks after it came out, and the tournament had already basically vetoed challenger cards. So I guess we're on to the fourth iteration of catch-up mechanics, because secret missions hasn't worked, gambits hasn't worked, now challengers hasn't worked. So I was trying to think about this myself actually, and was like, how do you have a catch-up mechanic where, you know, like, quite often in games of Warhammer, the player who goes second is a little bit behind, and then in the final turn, because they score at the end, they catch up on the final turn, right? Like, so the whole system behind catch-up mechanics, I think, is going to be, as long as the game stays like your turn, my turn, it's going to be very difficult. You know, like smaller skirmish games that I've played, like Star Wars Legion, they have like, I move one unit, you move one unit. Challenger cards might have made sense in that, but I think this is a problem they just have not been able to fix now, right? And challenger cards were the third iteration of the catch-up mechanic, and I still don't think they're there. Well, they're obviously not there because they've been discontinued. The other two mechanics didn't get discontinued; they were just left to ride out. But challenger mechanic has been completely discontinued. So this is an ongoing problem for competitive 40k, in that, like, somebody pulls miles ahead, and you're not going to be able to get back into it, I guess. No paint. Yeah, sorry, dude. I'm not painting today. I really hurt my neck and my shoulder. I was lifting weights at the weekend. It didn't feel sore at the time, but, like, I've been in agony. I didn't manage to sleep last night, hardly at all, because my neck was just so sore. So, I'm feeling a lot better today, but I can't turn my head any further than this. And any further than that is pretty sore as well. So when you watch the tactics video that's coming out on Friday, spoiler, this week's tactics video is all about Sanguinary Guard, and the new 2-up weapon skill, which we're going to talk about in a second. You'll probably see that I'm barely moving my head at all in that video, and I'm probably moving my whole body if I need to look, because, like, yesterday I literally couldn't turn my head. I was in so much pain. Okay, so challenger cards, they're gone. So and I mean, twist cards were never a thing in competitive play, so we're basically just playing the missions now. It's simpler than it's ever been, I guess. So we're playing the missions, we're doing our secondaries. And they did mention a few things. You can read into this whole article if you want to. I'm obviously not going to read it. Well, that's a cool picture of the Sanguinary Guard, huh? I never even noticed that first time. I will save that later. Okay, so Blood Angel Sanguinary Guard have a weapon skill and points cost increase to push their status as elite bladesmen. So I've done loads of maths for Friday's video on the Sanguinary Guard, and my opinion of the Sanguinary Guard, bear in mind this, I spent the whole last evening, or the last 2 evenings, working on this. They have gone up a little bit in points. I think it was the 3-man have gone up like 13%. The 6-man have gone up 8%.
99 via super chat. Get well soon, and hope the neck recovers without issue.
Thanks, Alternus. Hey, I think another 24 hours, 40 hours, I'll be good to go. But yeah, I'm just a bit sore, and obviously didn't sleep last night. So, yeah, what did I say? 5-man's gone up like 13%, I think it was. 6-man's gone up like 8%, but, like, when you actually see how much more damage those two units are doing, it is bonkers. Spears are actually very, very interesting now, and I've broken it all down in Friday's video. I've got a new tool that I'm using. There's 100 viewers in the chat. Thanks, guys. Please do hit the like button if you get a second. Yeah, I've got a new tool that I'm using that can let me do my maths much quicker than what I've been using for the last 3 years. Like, the last 3 years I'd used this horrible spreadsheet that I made. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was just slow. This tool that I've made now, I can do the math so much quicker, and yeah, the spears are really, really interesting. Like, when you come against, like, Death Shroud Terminators and stuff, spears are really, really good. I really don't think you need Dante anymore. Like, you already hit on 2s. I mean, unless you're playing an army that's going to make you -1 to hit, Sanguinary Guard are bonkers good now, right? So, Yeah, tune in on Friday. It's like a 20-minute video. It breaks down the spears, the blades, in like a bunch of situations, and those units are just much, much better. And here's like a big takeaway or a hot take on Sangre Guard. I suppose we should jump over to the Sangre Guard real quick. Let's see if there was any. Did they mention Space Marines at all? They said Space Marines have been relatively light on points changes. Okay, because there wasn't any totally useless. Useless units in Codex Space Marines that are really badly points changes, right? Like Firestorm turrets or whatever they're called. Anyway, yeah. So the main change in this balance state slate, 2 changes. Blades of Sangre Guard hit on 2s, Spears of Sangre Guard hit on 2s, and I think the big difference here is Spears get that extra attack, right? If you think about it before, in Liberator Assault Group, Spears were down like 20% attacks, because you would have gone like from 5 to 4, and in the other detachments, Spears were down like 25%. Giving those Spears that extra attack is massive. Like, it just brings them up to the level of the Blades, and then when you put the +1 to wound in from the Spears, and you hit on 2s, I think the interesting thing now is, right, everybody runs multiple units of Sangre Guard. I'll say everybody, most people, right? If you run multiple units of Sangre Guard, like, hot take, 1 unit of Blades, 1 unit of Spears. Because the Blades can always take your Red Rampage or your Focus Fury, right? To get, like, +1 to wound and lethal hits. And the Spears have +1 to wound all the time. So, and again, I think attaching a Captain is super important to these guys, because a Captain puts them to Strength 7 base. Strength 7 is the number you basically want if you go into Toughness 12 enemies, right? So basically you're saying that your Spears will just wound on 4s all the time into Toughness 12, even Toughness 13. Not that there's that much Toughness 13. Maybe like a Great Unclean one might be Toughness 13 these days. I actually don't... Lord of Skulls, maybe. That's about the only Toughness 13 thing I can think of off the top of my head. So I think Dante is much less interesting with the Sangre Guard. If you're playing Angelic Inheritors, Captains are bonkers good now in that detachment. If you're playing Liberator Assault Group, you could feel Dante, but I honestly think you're paying like 45 points for not very much at all. So this is a really interesting change, because it just means as well, Liberator Assault Group, Sangre Guard really don't need to be led. Like, they just don't need to be led now. Like, they don't need +1 to hit from Dante. They go up 15 points at 125 points for 3 hitting on 2s now, which I think is really, really strong. 260, again, you can just make these squads cheaper in Liberator Assault Group. They just don't need lead. You can lead them if you want, but hitting on 2s is really, really good. And in Angelic Inheritors, honestly, attaching captains to these squads now is just really great, because yes, you're paying, what did I say, like on the 3-man squad you're paying 13% more straight away with additional weapon skill increase. You're getting like a 20, or well, it's a 16% increase, right? If Angelic Inheritors in your lead, it's like a 20% increase. So you're getting somewhere between 16 and 20% more offensive output from the unit, which is more like that's more than the points increase, right? And then one of the units can just have +1 to wound all the time. The monolith for Necrons is T13. Well, that just, yeah. I mean, I feel like personally I'd already dropped Dante because I'm playing Angelic Inheritors, but I think if you're playing Angelic Inheritors, captains are just miles better. And I don't play Liberator Assault Group at the moment, but like I just can't see why I would want to pay 45 points more for Dante. A few extra attacks, sure. But he's so expensive, and he's no more survivable than a regular jump captain, and there's no free stratagem in there either, so I'm really off Dante at the moment. I go back and forth on Dante. I play him for a while, I'm really off him at the moment. Like, I really don't think he doesn't synergize with this unit anymore. And this is the unit he wants to be with, right? Like, I know you can attach him to jump intercessors. I really don't think jump intercessors, like, I think I'd rather attach a chaplain to jump intercessors for the +1 to wound and the extra mortals. And I know you can attach him to Vanguard veterans, but I mean, are a lot of people running Vanguard veterans? I don't see it. I don't play against anyone that's running Vanguard veterans. There's big rumors. Valrak's been on about big rumors about Vanguard veterans getting a refresh. Maybe if they get a refresh and they get their lightning claw back or something. Is there really a reason to take the swords now, John? The swords are going to be better in a few situations, right? Like, if your opponent has a way to reduce your AP by 1, then there is an argument to taking the swords. But if your opponent does not have a way to reduce the AP, the spears are going to be performing very, very well. So the reason you could take swords, I think, like if you love swords or blades as they're called and you really want to take blades, I think you could just take the blades, and if you're attached by a captain, remember as well you get a free stratagem every turn, and you could just be like, well, that is my free unit that's going to be using my red rampage, right? So you could still take the blades if you think that your opponent has ways of negating AP. But if your opponent does not have ways of negating AP, you know, like Terminators are on a 2-up, 4-up, well, -2 is enough. Like most Chaos type vehicles, Death Guard, World Eaters, ow, my neck. Ugh. They're on a 3-up, 5-up. This is why I'm not painting tonight, man. Oh, that was actually really sore. 3-up, 5-up. -2 is enough again, right? So it's just generally that's what I try to cover in Friday's video, right? We look at spear damage before and after the opponent uses the -1 AP, and we look at spear damage against the blades. So I think a general rule of thumb now is if your opponent cannot reduce your AP, the spear damage is going to be better, right? If the opponent can reduce AP by 1, then the blades are going to probably pull ahead slightly. But it's really interesting. I think before you didn't even want to take spears. There wasn't even an argument to be made, right? There was no argument to be made. It was like spears are just not an option. They just aren't viable. And now I think they're crazy viable. I think my next list I'm going to be taking, like I run 2 units of Sanguinary Guard. I'm pretty sure one of them is going to be spears. If you run 3, I suppose the thing is, if you run 3, you could do what I was saying, and you could run 2 units with spears, so they always have +1 to wound, and you could run 1 unit with blades, which you're going to use the stratagem on. The interesting thing as well with spears now, right? Like, let's say you attach a captain to a spear unit, and it's Angelic Inheritor, right? If it's a captain attached to Angelic Inheritors with the spears, and you go into toughness 6 or less, because the captain will make you T7, and you take Carmine Wrath, which you would take because that's the Angelic Inheritors thing of rerolling 1s to hit and wound when you are led. That means into toughness 6 and less, which covers a lot of things like Terminators, some of the Custodies, some of the Death Guard. I forget the toughness on 8 bound. I can't imagine 8 bound. They can't have toughness 7, have they? 8 bound must be like T6. Maybe exalted 8 bound? 8 bound or T6? Yeah, so if you're fighting 8 bound, for example, with Sanguinary Guard with spears now, and you're led by a captain in your Angelic Inheritors, you hit on 2s, you reroll 1s, you wound on 2s, you reroll 1s. That's fucking bonkers. That is 97% chance to hit, 97% chance to wound. So this unit into 8 bound gets 24 attacks. You should wound 23 times, right? 24 times 0.97, times 0.97. All right, sure. We wound 22.5 times into 8 bound from 24 attacks. That's insanity, man. Like, talk about killing elites. I think that's why the captain is so important, right? Giving them the extra strength. Because, I mean, this numbers are the same if you go into terminators, right? So 6, that's 22.5 saves at AP2, 2 damage. Like I said, if they can reduce the AP, it could be a problem. If they can reduce the damage, it could be a problem. But if they can't do that, wow. So spears are a really interesting conversation. So, and what we've had to pay for that, I guess, is 15 points, 110 up to 125. It's really not much. It's like 13%. And 20 points on the big unit. I think it's about 8%, because 10% would be 24. Maybe it's like 8.5%. Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems we had was our inability to get lance multiple times a turn, right? Like, that was one of the biggest problems I would say Blood Angels had and Sangre Guard had, was like, once per turn, you can get your Red Rampage lance. Now the options are really open. Like, I think if you... It fucked my list, actually, going up these points, because my list was built right on, like, 1995. But I think if you'd given me the choice and said, we're going to give you an extra attack on the lance, and we're going to give you 2 up weapon skill, but that's going to cost you 8 or 13% points, I think we would have taken that. It sounds too good to be true, man. These guys are going to slaughter toughness 6 below enemies, right? Good evening, McFatson. You're going to submit a new Firestorm list. Firestorm did not get any buffs. Sorry to break it to you. It has a 35% win rate at the moment, so it'll probably still have a 35% win rate. Realistically, why not 18 Sangre Guard now? They trade very well into battle line, elite units, and vehicles. Good question. Why not 18 Sangre Guard? I mean, it takes up an awful lot of your list. But I guess you don't have to lead all of them now, which I think before you probably had to lead them, right? Because you probably wanted the +1 to hit from Dante. You probably wanted... So I think in Liberator Assault Group, you could probably run 18 Sangre Guard. I might still limit myself to 9 or 12 in Angelic Inheritors, because you do... That detachment does need them to be led, sort of, right? But in Liberator Assault Group, yeah, maybe. You could do 18 of them. 6 on the board, 12 in reserve, bring 6 in, unled, turn 2, make a charge, rapid ingress, bring another 6 in, turn 3, make a charge, rapid ingress, you know? Like, the +1 to wound there is pretty big, I think. So I think the Sangre Guard question is a big question. So yeah, my video for Friday, if you see my video on Friday, then please do watch it, because all I've done is a bunch of maths around these new spears. And my takeaway is that before there was a right and wrong answer, right? It was like blades were the right answer. Now I think there's no right and wrong answer. Probably the right answer is one of each, because then you get Red Rampage for the ones that need it, and you get the lance on the ones that don't need it, and you get the best of both worlds now. So I think this is a great change. So good. Yeah, really good. Okay. I did read, like, you can search the balance data slate stuff for Space Marines. There is no actual Space Marine changes in terms of rules. So we're just looking at points for Space Marines. And there isn't too many changes to Space Marine points, unfortunately. So let's get into it. The aggressors, they're down 20 points on the 6-man unit. I don't know if that changes too much. 33 points for an aggressor, 33 points per guy. I mean, they're okay. I think their big issue is probably no invuln save. fine. I mean, aggressors weren't lighting up the meta. This maybe change it, like, one extra player is going to bring 6 aggressors. I mean, maybe when you combo that with the fact that Land Raider went down 20 points, maybe you can have 6 aggressors inside a Land Raider. The Redeemer went down 15 points. We don't really see Redeemers anymore. This might bring them back on the table a little bit. Assault Intercessor with the jump packs, the 10-man went up 10 points. People were spamming 30 of them, so it makes sense that they went up 10 points. Is it justified? Yeah, probably. Like, I don't know if they necessarily needed to be cheap, significantly cheaper in the 10-man option than they were in the 5-man option. Ballistic Dreadnoughts, I feel like this is a little bit harsh. They're going up 10 points. I always compare them to an Armiger, and an Armiger has more OC, and it has more movement, and it has an invuln save. I don't know. Ballistic Dreadnought's going up 10 points is a weird one to me. I mean, they left Predators 10 points cheaper than them. I already thought that Predators might be just as good, if not better, than the Ballistic Dreadnought. So that's an interesting one. Like, yeah, I guess we're just going to see less Ballistic Dreadnoughts. I don't know. I doubt that was targeted at us. It was probably targeted to, like, Ultramarines players spamming 3 of them or something. Blade Guard went up 10 points as well in the 6, and again, that makes sense because people were spamming 18 of them. I guess when you spam 18 of a unit, you can only do it for like 1 data slate worth of time, and then it will be nerfed. So if everybody in chat right now starts spamming 18 Sangre Guards, because that's an option, someone just said it, Kevin's saying 18 Sangre Guard. If people start spamming 18 Sangre Guard and it wins tournaments, expect the 6-man to go up 10 or 20 points. I mean, it's that simple, I guess. I actually think 40k might be a better game if you couldn't spam 3 of the same unit, but, there's a whole codex here. You could, it'd be a different game, I guess, if you could only have 2 of the same unit, but could be interesting. Maybe one season they could try that. We've got the Valiant going 10 points down. I don't know why the Valiant went 10 points down. I don't think anyone's playing the Valiant. I don't think anyone will play the Valiant. It's a really weird tank, isn't it? It's got like a Laz Talon and like 2 multi-meltas. I mean, it might be good with the +1 to wound Ultramarine stuff. Or +1 to wound generic Space Marine stuff. Excuse me. But it's a really weird tank in that, like, it's going to get close because those multi-meltas have short range. No one was really playing it. 10 points down. I guess. Like, sure. Anyone excited about the Valiant? Clint says he was only doing 12 Blade Guard. Good guy, Clint. Salute 07s in chat. You didn't get the Blade Guard nerf, Clint. Good for you. Foss says 6 aggressors with a Gravis Captain in a Redeemer, then choose either Killy or fights first on the Captain. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you've got a bunch of aggressors, you probably don't need the Flamers on the Redeemer as well. I think I'd probably take the Las Cannons. I think the Land Raider going down 20 points is somewhat interesting. 10% cheaper. It can be tough to kill. Some people just can't deal with Land Raiders. Is this why they revamped Salamanders? Yeah, I mean, Salamanders do have that new character. Getting cheaper big blobs of aggressors could be cool. Yeah, I just think the Valiant is too unreliable for even at 150 points, right? And it's interesting that they debuffed the Valiant and not the Reaper, because I don't think anyone runs the Reaper either, right? Like, I have a Reaper. I can't remember a lot. I actually don't think I've run it this edition. I think I haven't run it since 9th. So I think the Valiant change is sort of superficial. Like, we're not going to see very many more Valiants. And then the Redemptor Dreadnought comes back down from... He was at 210 points, which quite honestly is bonkers. He's at 195. 195 for a dreadnought with no invuln save and -1 damage. Does he get a little bit more interesting? I mean, potentially. I feel like he's still too expensive. Like, if he's 195, I think he would have to be at least the same or cheaper than a Vindicator tank. Because I think the Vindicator tank probably just outdamages him every time. I think that was what I was thinking in my head when he came down in points. It was like, if I want, like, because I have Redemptors and I like Redemptors. I've got 3 of them with the plasma cannons. But I think that the Vindicator tank having that strength 14, D6 plus 3, whereas like the Redemptor is strength 9, D6 plus 1. Yes, the Redemptor can get in and do some melee, but the Vindicator tank has more toughness. And is, you know, I think it's a tough one, right? Like, I just don't know. I'm not excited about a Redemptor at 195. Could it be worth a try? Sure. Maybe it's good in Iron Storm or something like that. I mean, the reason it got nerfed originally was because of, like, Iron Hands or Iron Storm and the auras that you could stack up. Well, all the stacking auras have been removed. Remember, you could give a Tech Marine, like, a bubble of lethal hits. And that was really cool. Like, everything within 6 inches of the Tech Marine does lethal hits. But that's been gone for ages, right? -1 damage breaks a lot of things in the game. Well, I hope that they rework him for next edition, because I just think this edition he has been too expensive, like, the whole time. Awir says, first time catching live, I think the Redemptor is still not worth it either. Vindicators are just too damn good and can still shoot in melee anyway, even if they do get charged. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Like, Vindicators are just probably too good. Toughness 11 is somewhat a meaningful breakpoint as well sometimes, you know. So, like, would I prefer to be Toughness 11 or -1 damage on Toughness 10? I feel like those things are kind of even, right? So, if we can agree those two things are kind of even Toughness 10 with -1 damage or Toughness 11, then you're basically saying, all right, then it's a comparison of the guns. And I feel like a Vindicator tank's guns are just miles better than a Redemptor Dreadnought's guns. So then I'm always taking the Vindicator, and the Vindicator's 10 points cheaper, right? So the Redemptor is a weird one. It needs more of everything, says Benno. Yeah, it definitely needs something, doesn't it? Do you remember, I think last edition, the Redemptor's Fist was D3 plus 3. If it still was D3 plus 3 on the Redemptor's Fist, then maybe that would have been really interesting, and maybe we would have seen some play. Because D3 plus 3 is really strong, right? But flat 3 is not that great. Because the second you go into like a Terminator that's like 4 wounds, flat 3 is like, oh, don't even kill a Terminator when you fail against my big fist. But D3 plus 3 was like minimum 4, so it was like, yeah, you're fighting Death Guard Terminators with 4 wounds, no problem. Minimum 4, let me eat some of these Terminators alive, right? So Redemptor Dreadnoughts for me are still a miss. Like, I feel a bit sad because I've got 3 of them, and they're... Quite often I don't have 3 things that are fully painted, but Dreads for Rule of Cool, I like to win. I like to play to win, Foz. Sure, my army needs to look cool, but it needs to win, you know? What's good in life? To crush your enemies. The immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then Rabuti Gilliman goes up 20 points. Nothing changed with Gilliman in terms of his rules. So I guess they finally decided they're getting 2 Oaths of Moment with +1 to wound was strong. I mean, I think he went down 20 points last data slate. Maybe lots more people were taking him, so he's gone back up 20. Gilliman does die. Pretty, like, he's got weaknesses, you know. He only got a 4-up save. He only has like toughness 9. He doesn't have any protection against mortals. I was playing against Thousand Suns, and I was very scared about the mortals that he does. Vindicator gets Rule of Cool. Yeah, I mean, how does a Demolisher cannon not get Rule of Cool? You know? Do you remember in the old edition where the rule was if you moved your tank with a demolisher cannon, you weren't allowed to shoot it because in lore, the demolisher cannon was so powerful that it would make the tank flip over upside down if you'd moved it in the same turn as you shot? That was a rule. I think I was like 2nd or 3rd edition, but that was definitely a rule at one point. What's a replacement for 2 Ballistus Dreads in Liberator Assault Group Detachment now? I was thinking of a Lancer plus another shooting unit. I like Predator tanks, honestly. I like the Destructors, personally. They haven't changed in points. The thing I like about the Destructors is that they got flat 3 melee damage, 6 shots at 24 inches, and you get AP 2 into infantry. So they're very good at weakening up elite infantry before you charge them. The Annihilators are okay as well. I mean, you probably still can field Ballistus Dreadnoughts. That, you know, usually when they put something up at 10 points, it doesn't really make too much difference if overall, right? Like, it only really hurts you if you're spamming them or you're spamming a lot of overpowered stuff, right? So, Splash Zone 69, good evening. 30-year-old boomer says 40k is a sober game for me. If I'm drinking or smoking, I'm not playing 40k. Maths and alcohol don't mix. Really? Maths and alcohol don't mix. You can play 40k for fun, right? I must admit, it's been a long time since I played 40k when I was drinking, but I feel like you could still have a game on a Friday night, have a few beers, enjoy yourself. You know, I mean, maybe if it's not, you know, not every single game ever has to be a tournament practice game. I say that when like 90% of my games are tournament practice, but yeah. So overall, Space Marine Codex, Space Marine changes are interesting, I guess. There's a few that are units that have been ignored, multiple balance data slates again. That, I mean, it would be nice if they ever got looked at. This Firstborn Dreadnought is terribly overcosted at 135 points. What else is terribly overcosted? There was something. Oh yeah, your Fire Strike servo turrets. Nobody runs these. Are these worth 75 points? I don't care. I don't know, I guess. Whirlwind's at 190 points. Man, Ultramarines got those nerfed so hard. I wonder if... and then Assault Terminators, man. They're still so bad. You compare those to the new Space Wolf Terminators. I'm actually curious what the Space Wolf Terminators cost, because they're just so much better. I think when we get a new Assault Terminator kit, that will be when Assault Terminators get a reasonable point cost. Because 180 points for them. Yeah, I mean, the Wolfguard Terminators, they're 10 points cheaper. They just have better rules in that they're like -1 to wound. Or sorry, -1. Yeah, -1 to wound if your strength is higher. They're in a really rough place, Assault Terminators. Which is a real shame, because they've been in a rough place this entire edition. That's like... Few people have said to me, like, what's my dream for 11th edition? My dream is to have more than one competitive detachment in the Blood Angels Codex. And then the second one is that we don't leave units with terrible rules for an entire edition. Because that really sucks if you bought and painted this unit and you literally can't play it for 3 years. And I think that is where Assault Terminators have been this edition. Like, they have just had really, really bad rules the entire edition. I mean, I'm sure you could find some other things. But Assault Terminators stand out as me as like, you know, they're one of the coolest looking Space Marine units, and their rules are just absolutely terrible. Alex, sorry, I probably didn't say thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. I do really appreciate it. How are you, Alex? VT says Assault Terminators are going to stay bad until the new kit drops. Yeah, I mean, Valrak has been on about Assault Terminators getting a new kit. He has been on about Vanguard Veterans getting a new kit. I guess... because of that new captain that came out on the Warhammer community website, right? the new captain, this guy, the jump captain. So this is a captain that comes with a Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield, which is really interesting because the current Space Marine jump captain, like the one that you bought, I think I had him. Yeah. This guy did not come with a Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield option. He came with a Power Fist, Plasma Pistol, or Hand Flamer option, right? Like, he just didn't come with Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield. So there was thought that we maybe wouldn't get a Primaris captain that has a Thunder Hammer and Storm Shield. And another interesting thing about this captain is this configuration here, Chainsword and Shield, is not a valid configuration in the current box set. If you weren't familiar, like if you go and look at a Space Marine captain right now, you cannot configure him to have a shield and a chainsword, right? That isn't an option. So it's really interesting that they showed this, like maybe the shield is being reworked or something. I mean, typically storm shields on models that have a 4-up invan just give you an extra wound. The shield is tiny. Jump captains always had kind of smaller shields. The Vanguard veteran shields that people used, they were kind of always a little bit smaller. The interesting thing will be the size of this hammer, right? Because up until now, all of our Thunder Hammers were probably a little bit smaller because they were on Firstborn models. This is a hammer on a Primaris model. I mean, I suppose you got a hammer in like the Intercessor kit. But yeah, so they've said that this is a Warhammer Day model, but they've also said that this will be going into the range. So even if you can't get it on quote-unquote Warhammer Day, this will be available in the future. It's a relic weapon, the Chainsword. It might be Highland Phoenix. It might be. But I guess this at least it lets us know we're going to get Thunderhammer captains. Like, that isn't an option that's going to go to Legends, because I think a lot of people have captains built with Thunder Hammers. Yeah, Assault Intercessors on foot have a hammer. Jump Assault Intercessors do not have hammers. Maybe this is a thing to come. Maybe Vanguard veterans are going to get hammers. Wouldn't that be nice? And then the other thing that's obviously new this week as well is they released a new version of Marneus Calgar. I don't know what this means for Marneus Calgar. Does this mean that the model that only came out in 2018 is now Legends? If it does, I'm a little worried about that, because that feels like an aggressive amount of time for that to be Legends. So overall, it's an interesting balance data slate. I wasn't expecting Sangregard to be hitting on 2s. A lot of the people in the community had said. They're calling it a Relic Shield, not a Storm Shield. Yeah, so a Relic Shield usually means 1 extra wound, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't really help a Space Marine captain, right? Because he's got 5 wounds. So putting him onto 6 means he still dies in the same number of 2 damage attacks. Against 3 damage attacks, he still dies in the same number of failed 3 damage attacks. A Relic Shield really doesn't help a character with 5 wounds all that much if it's just +1 to wound. It would be better if it was like, remember when you used to be able to activate the shield and once per game you could have a 3-up invan or something. It's Kill Dante's rules. Yeah, Dante is like... I mean, spoiler, I'm not going to be running Dante anytime in the future, because literally all he's bringing to the table now is +1 to advance and charge. I'm running Angelic Inheritors, so I need the Strength 7 anyway from the captain, and I don't have an advance and charge strat in that. There could be an argument to run Dante still in Liberator Assault Group, but I think you're just going to be better running cheap captains. And in Liberator Assault Group, Sangregards with spears almost don't even need to be led. So they're just good unled, right? Like, they're just really good unled. They're strength 8 with +1 to wound. So it'd be like hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s for anything T7 and less. You attach the captain, it's wounding on 2s for anything T8 and less. So like, it's just very, very interesting Sangre Guard are just a lot better now. I think they always should have been a unit that hit on 2s. Probably our Codex just came out too early this edition. Invictor Warsuits are the new meta. No, they're not, Cambo. Unled Sangre Priests are your new meta. I'm definitely thinking Unled Sangre Guard. Yeah, I think if you play Liberator Assault Group, Unled Sangre Guard are going to be legitly good. I'd probably get at least 1 unit of spears in there. If you're playing Angelic Inheritors, then the captains leading the Sangre Guard are really, really good as well. Yeah, I did some maths, disgustingly resilient, and I think a unit of 6 Sangre Guard now charging into Death, Shroud, Terminators without any other buffs, just spears, no other buffs, they should lift 5 models, which I think is bonkers good, right? It's a real shame they still didn't reduce the Death Company Dreadnought. Yeah, I mean, the Dreadnoughts this edition have just been a bit of I feel like they've been... The only Dreadnought that's had any real play of a sustained amount of time is the Ballistus Dreadnought, and it looks like they're trying to put it up in points and get less people to use it. So, that's a weird one, Matthew. Good evening, by the way. So, yeah, I'm going to have to take off. I'm sorry there's no painting tonight, but like I said, I really hurt my neck yesterday or the day before, so... if I even turned my head yesterday. So, thanks for watching. Leave a comment. Definitely check out the video on Friday because it goes into depth. The spears versus sword blade. Forever going to call these swords, aren't they? The spears versus blades. I've done it against like toughness 6, toughness 7, toughness 12. I'm sure I did another one in there, maybe like toughness 9 or something. Like I did a bunch. Like I've done so much maths on these. And I've got a couple of interesting conclusions. So that'll be coming out Friday. So check that out on Friday. Leave a like on the stream if you can. I would appreciate that. And yeah, if there's something else that you want to talk about, then leave it. What are my opinions on the longevity of the Predator tanks? My pessimistic self says that everything that is Firstborn is not going to be here in the next couple of editions. That's what my pessimistic self says. So my general opinion is don't buy Firstborn models anymore. I really wish we could get some clarity on that. Because like this whole edition, I have 2 Vindicator tanks. This whole edition I was thinking like, it'd be cool to have a 3rd Vindicator tank. I bet that'd be pretty fun. But like it just feels too risky to buy a Vindicator tank. I still miss axes. You could just proxy your axes as spears or something, though, Foz, right? Eternal Crusader says Predators on borrowed time. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I just think anything that is on Firstborn is potentially on borrowed time, right? Because it does seem like they might just refresh the Predator. Excuse me. You know how they refreshed the Terminators? And they just they refreshed Terminators, so like they just got a bigger model, but they are still Terminators, right? Like that would be the ultimate victory, where they just refresh some of those things. Like we get a Primaris Vindicator tank, or we get a Primaris Predator tank, whatever you're calling that. But I do think that like it's super risky to buy those old models. I certainly am doing it, but I mean I don't have any, you know, I don't hear anything. I don't know. If you want all the rumors and the leaks, you got to go watch Chapter Master of Valrak, and then even then you got to take those with a pinch of salt. So what they have been saying is that they think that there's going to be new Assault Terminators and there's going to be new Vanguard Veterans, Primaris. So I would definitely avoid buying those units, because it sounds very likely that they are going to be in the 10th edition starter box, right? Is Dante dead or not? In the lore, Dante is the oldest living Space Marine. in terms of his rules right now. I feel like he's getting to take the rest of the edition off. He's led the Sangre Guard for 2.5 years of this edition. He's taken time off. Get some jump captains. There's a great new one to buy. Oh my god, conspiracy theory. That's why they didn't change Dante's rules. So everybody needs to buy this new captain. Hey, how didn't Valrak figure that one out? I guess he's not a Blood Angels player through and through, so he wouldn't know. But yeah, there you go. There's the conspiracy theory. What a great way to end the stream, guys. Dante needs a rest. There's a new captain to buy anyway, so get yourself along to Warhammer Day. Did they actually say what day it is next month? Late October. So get yourself along to Games Workshop late October. Get yourself one of the new Primaris captains with a Thunderhammer and shield. It's a GW sponsored stream. Yeah, exactly, Phil. Guys, you have a great evening. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with a tactics video on Friday. And next Wednesday, we'll get back to gaming. I'm going to use a new list using Sangre Guard against the Death Guard. And we'll see if we can actually slaughter the Death Guard now. Because we already beat the Death Guard anyway since they got their points drop. So surely now with improved Sangre Guard, they should be pretty easy to beat. Isn't the old captain better for Sangre Guard? I don't think it really matters. I mean, I think... Well, we don't actually have the rules for this guy. Well, but if he is just the standard Space Marine captain with a Thunderhammer and a Storm Shield, I mean, the Thunderhammer hits one on one worse weapon skill, but you get devastating wounds. It's 50-50, right? Alright. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry, yeah, I mean, it sucks when you smash. Do I use New Recruit? No, I use the Games Workshop app. But yeah, I will be back live Battle Report next Wednesday, and I'll be using. I think I'm gonna essentially keep the same list for the most part. So I'm gonna use 9 Sangre Guard, but I think I'm definitely gonna switch one unit for I'm gonna switch one unit for spears. So I run a 6 and a 3, and one of those units is definitely going to be spears. I think maybe the 3. But yeah, once you watch my video on Friday, if you are running Sangre Guard, tell me how many. Break it down. Tell me how many spears and how many blades you're going to run, because I think that's going to be the biggest question. Because the math makes it look really, really interesting. So, all right, guys. I'll see you later. Thanks again for watching. Tune in Friday. We'll do all the maths on the Sangre Guard. Bye-bye.